gentlemen. So we'd like to welcome today the, now I sure hope I get this right, Chioccioli. How's that? Yeah, the Chioccioli brothers, Altadonna. These two gentlemen are part of our partners for Opinion for several years now. I'm, in fact, I don't have their gin and vodka yet, so I'm drinking their Altadonna Chianti Classico right now. But that's not why we're here today. I just thought I'd mention it because I enjoy it so much. So I thought one of the most interesting things about this is that they are making these spirits from wines. And so I think that's going to speak to we as Opinion members. So it's going to be interesting to hear how they do that and also to find out more about the family. So I thought that that was as much as I needed to say, and I'm going to send it over to Enrico and Niccolò, and they're actually going to talk about how they make their spirits, and they're also going to show us some cocktails, which I'm really looking forward to, so that I'll be able to make it when these spirits arrive in Canada. Over to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Opinion members, for joining us too. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So welcome to everybody. It's a really big pleasure for us to be here with you. Beautiful time together, and to have this also beautiful opportunity to bring all of you here inside the heart of our production, inside our distillery. It's where all our spirits are coming from, and I will introduce a little bit myself, and then I will let you in the hand of my brother, who is the master distiller. So the unicity of this project is it's a start that has we are a wine producer, and our spirits is coming straight from wine. So that's the first big difference. From this point, it will start all the travel we will have tonight with us. So I'm the second generation of enologist from my family, and I was graduated in Florence University in 2009 in enology science. Soon after my graduation with my brother and our father, of course, we started to produce wine. And that's from where everything started, 2010, first vintage of wine production. In all those last years, we keep producing wine, but also doing this process. My brother started to have this beautiful dream about producing spirits, and I will let him explain how he started to dream about that and how then we put the base on everything, and during this process, step by step, we make this Vinstilleria. This is the first ever here in Chianti Classico. It's the first only craft distillery from Chianti Classico. And well, what else I could say? Probably it's better if I can leave you in my brother's hand and see you later for speak a little bit more about cocktails.
So welcome again. My name is Enrico Chioccioli, and I'm the brother of this big guy. And as I told you, as Niccolò told you, we were born in the wine business. In fact, our father, Stefano Chioccioli, is a winemaking consultant, and he has been consulting for the last 35 years in Tuscany, of course, Italy, France, and Hungary. But as Niccolò told you, I'm a master distiller now. But even if now I'm doing spirits, I haven't studied for that at the beginning. In fact, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer at a certain point of my life. So after studying at the university, before starting the preparation for the bar exam, I decided to spend a couple of months in New York to have a break before getting back on the books. And I didn't expect that that 3 months in New York could have changed completely my life programs. Because while I was in New York, I decided to deepen a bit more the spirits, because it was something fascinating to me. I knew about wine, but I hadn't had any experience of the spirits. And it was 7 years ago. At that time, the craft spirits movement was just popping up in all the American country. And so I had the chance to have an internship in a very cool distillery in Brooklyn, the Kings County Distillery, where they produce a really nice bourbon. It was really the first time I was face to face with a pot still. I simply fell in love with that. So when I came back to Italy, I had to tell to my father that I wanted to stop going on with the law studies to open up a distillery. And I think, as you can all imagine, it wasn't that easy to accept. So we found a deal. The deal was that I had to finish the bar exam, which I did. But in the meantime, I bargained and I obtained the chance to prepare myself also to open up a distillery. So I made a master distilling course in northeast of Italy, in the Conegliano area, which is very famous for the Cutthroat itself. It's where the majority of number of distilleries are set, the historical ones in Italy. And after that, we started to think about our distillery. And of course, since the idea was to build a distillery that was producing spirits from wine, it was useful for us to learn also this distillation of the wine. So I spent a couple of months also in Cognac region, where I had a chance to work in 3 different distilleries to practice more the beautiful art of the distillation of the wine. And it was very, very useful for us because it was then the base of our study to distill our wine distillery products. So if you like now, we could move to the still room, so I can introduce you also Bacco, which is our hot still, and this is the guy that makes the really hard work. So come with me. We will go a bit through the distillery till stopping at the hot still. So I don't know how much you know about distilleries in general, all the spirits that we produce, and we were talking about later on. But the main thing, of course, is not the master distiller. It's more the still. It's because the still is shaped, the way it is heated, all these aspects make a huge difference in how you can produce spirits. And it is said that each master distiller has a special relationship with the distiller. And it's partially true, I would say, because when you start working with this beautiful machine I have on my back, you have to learn each sound it has, each smell it has, because these are the signs through which you can really understand how the product is done and how the machine is going. So let me introduce the big guy. His name is Bacco, as I told you, and this beautiful shiny copper machine, it was very long to be produced. Because it was custom made for us from a Tuscan manufacturer. The name of the company is 3 Leaves in Monteriggioni. Well, it's like 15, 20 kilometers from here, because we are based in Gaiole in Chianti. And it's really been done completely on our direction, my directions. So this beautiful machine is unique. We don't have any other kind of this pots all around the world. And we will see together how it works and how it is being done to reach certain results. I told you that we are in Gaiole in Chianti. For those that are familiar with the area, Gaiole in Chianti is not known for the spirits, of course. It's more known for the Chianti Classic, because the Chianti Classic was born in here. So the crazy idea we had was to work in such a traditional area for the production of wine, but to produce not only wine, but also unconventional local spirits. So the idea was to take something really traditional to us, something really familiar to us, the wine, and transform it into something not so familiar to the area. The name of the project, Wine Distillery, tries to explain this combination. Of course, because it's a winery, we have a Chioccioli Altadonna family estate in the Chianti Classico, where we produce wine, and a distillery merged together. So the combination of these two production realities is very unique. It's not very common to find the two things combined together. And as Niccolò told you before, we are the only one, I think in Europe, the first and only craft distillery here in the Chianti Classico area. So let's see how it is done. this beautiful baby here. So the shape, we start from the shape of the main part, so this one. You have to imagine this part, which is the proper pot still, as a big oven, okay, because a big pan, because we fill up the pot still with a wine distill, and then we distill it again with botanicals when we produce the gins, or without botanicals when we have the vodka. But the basic principle is that our raw ingredients are wine, in terms of alcohol, and botanical of the Tuscan tradition, which is for us the botanical that has been used in the Chianti Classico in Tuscan areas since centuries, and some are really indigenous, grown here since ever. The main important, of course, is juniper, because I don't know if you already know it, but the juniper berries that grows here in Tuscan Apennines, and also the Chianti Classico area is full of natural juniper plants, indigenous and white, spontaneous, are the best quality of juniper you can find all around the world. The UK distilleries source the juniper here in Tuscany since ever. Okay, here we have a perfect pedoclimatic situation to have a perfect quality of juniper berries grown. So we are saying this part is properly the pot still. So it's an onion shaped still. Then you have the top of the pot still, where we have the sweep, and then the back we have the Cutthroat, the column, and the column of condensation. So when we produce, for example, the vodka, the first step is to distill the wine. We need to distill the wine reaching really high alcohol content. So to use and to reach this alcohol content, this high degree, we need to go through the column of concentration. You see it here. The column concentration, you see with these round, small windows. To each of these windows we have a plate, like a small chamber. The vapor starts from here. So we have the wine, we start eating up the still through vapor, which pass through inside here. The heat ups, so it's heated up, the wine goes to vapor, the vapor goes through the pipeline and gets inside the column. Gets inside the column from the bottom and reaches the top. While it goes up and goes through this chamber, we can separate more the water and the vapor, the alcoholic vapor. Because basically the goal of the distillation is to reach a separation of the alcohol content in the wine, so reducing the number of quantity of water we have in our solution, and increasing the quantity of the alcohol. So it's a very, very simple process. It's a mechanical process, not chemical process. Through that, we can separate and concentrate more the alcohol and remove the water. So when we distill the vodka, we pass through the column first, and then we distill it again only in the pot still. The reason why we go through the pot still distillation after the first distillation, the column distillation, is quite simple. The goal is to have a really refined pot. The distillation is very, very slow, very delicate. It goes per hours, lasts 10 hours. And through this process, we can enhance the characteristics of the wine that we have inside and work a lot on the scents and aromas that we want to achieve. So, in this case, this beautiful vodka has the idea to enhance the terroir expression of Chioccioli, so the Chianti Classico, trying to make it very clean, direct, subtle sensation. And the taste is very, very nice, because you have a subtle wine sensation, really subtle, but a majority of the characteristic of the vodka, so the purity, cleanness of taste is enhanced. In this case, we have also a big impact of our terroir. Gaiole is really a stony soil. It's full of rock, even if it's a medium clay. You have lots of rocks inside, Galestre and Alberese. And I think you can find this subtle minerality in the taste, which is very, very interesting to find. So, we were talking about vodka. When we talk about the gin, so for example the London Dry, the process is slightly different. So the first step is the same for the vodka and for all the spirits. So we start from wine. Our wine base is Sangiovese. So we fill up the pot still with wine, we heat up the pot still, and we start the distillation. So we make the wine to vapor to concentrate the vapor that we have. But when we work with the gin, basically there are two traditional techniques that are usually divided in all the distilleries. So there are some still that I can make one technique, and other stills that make it the other. So the two majority techniques are the Cutthroat technique and the Bandit technique. When we say Bandit technique, it means that the botanicals, so the juniper, the herbs, the spices we choose, are steeped in a neutral alcohol, diluted at a certain degree. We make a maceration of the herbs and the alcohol, so the alcohol can extract the aromas. And after a maceration, we distill this alcohol that has extracted the oils, the aromas, and the taste of the botanicals through the pot still. So this is the Bandit technique. The Cutthroat technique uses an vapor extraction. So basically, we fill up the pot still with a neutral alcohol. In this case, our case is wine alcohol in the pot still. Then the vapors that comes from the distillation, so the alcoholic vapors, goes through the Cutthroat. This part here, I will show you now the details. Inside, I will show you, we have a basket. See? So I have a big basket that is filled up with botanicals. So we put the junipers and all the berries, and for example, we have coriander seed, the iris root inside. Then the vapor goes through the holes we have at the bottom of the basket. It goes through the botanicals. The vapor makes the extraction. The vapor enriches itself with the aromas of the botanicals, goes on till reaching the column of condensation. The column of condensation, so the second column here, basically is a column that is filled up with cold water and goes in the opposite sense of the vapor. So when the vapor and the water find each other, we have a delta of temperature. So we reduce in just a few seconds the temperature, and the vapor condensate and transform in spirit. So the vapor that has the aromas of the botanicals brings the aromas of the botanicals inside the spirit, the liquid. Bacco, our pot still, can work in the two techniques at the same time, which is very unique. And the reason why we decided to have the two techniques combined is basically because some botanicals work very well with the alcohol extraction. Some others work very well with the vapor infusion, and not the opposite. So to maximize the quality of our botanicals, we needed to have a still that could work with both the techniques, the Cutthroat technique and the Bandit technique. So once the distillation is done, all our products stays in still tank, or in the case of Altadonna, we will say later, in barrique, in barrel, for at least 1 month to just rest. Because as you can imagine in a shop, because a distillation process lasts around 6 to 10 hours, we have a huge amount of different aromas coming from the botanicals. They are separated and then combined to pack. So just to have a perfect balance of the aromas and the taste, we need the time to let it sit, rest, and combine together again. So I told you now that we produce also another category of gin, which is the Old Tom gin. The Old Tom gin is a quite rare product. It's not very common to find. It's going better and better in the last years, but it's very an ancient product because originally the Old Tom was popular in a specific time of in a specific age, I would say. It is the 19th century in the UK. At that time, where the production of gin was really crazy, the time was named the gin craze. It was a consumption of gin which was insane. And it was also the parliament of the United Kingdom that tried to reduce the consumption of the gin with the laws of the parliament, the famous Gin Acts. And trying to reduce the consumption of gin, they made a simple thing. They made it forbidden to produce. So it wasn't allowed to produce gin anymore. But as you can imagine, people were thirsty. So some illegal distillery popped up and started to produce a not very healthy and qualitative gin. And of course, trying to cover the mistake of the distillation, they added the sugar to make a more soft, sweet taste of a gin that has lots of mistakes in terms of taste. So they created a gin with a sweet taste. So we wanted to try to do something that was interesting because we took an old category, the Old Tom gin category, and we tried to make it very pure without using sweetener, and so achieving a sweet taste without adding anything to the product. And that was the challenge to us. So to do so, we tried to do it in a proper way. So we took botanicals that are naturally sweet, that has a sweet sensation itself. We distill it to have this sweet profile without having sugar. So if we bring the Old Tom to a lab to make an analysis, they would say 0.0 in terms of sugar. But I guess when you will taste, you will find a sweet taste. And this comes from the technique we distilled it together with the botanicals we use. And I think it will be very surprising to have this sweet sensation without having the sugar taste itself.
So we have a question, Enrico, from David. He's asking, he's curious about the quality of the wines. Does the quality of the wine you start with, does it affect the quality of the spirit?
Oh, of course, a lot. In fact, we spent more than 1 year to study the base of the wine to understand which one was the proper one to get these results. Because of course it's the main ingredient, so we cannot skip this point. In the Cognac region, for example, they use a really acid oxidated wine for their production. So I thought at the beginning that that was the way. But what works in an area doesn't mean that it works in another. So we make a specific harvest to produce the wine base that we distill to have the neutral alcohol that then we distill it again with the gin and the vodka. And we try to enhance at the maximum possible the freshness and the valuable expression of the grapes. Because this is the way to enhance in our idea the terroir expression we have. So it's really pure wine, very fresh, is an anticipated harvest in terms of, if we compare with a normal harvest for the red wine. So in the late summer, and then we try to keep it, to distill it in the shortest time we can.
Great, thank you. And I actually have a question of my own. When you talk about that sweetness that isn't actually residual sugar, can you tell us what that botanical is, or would you have to kill us?
No, it's very hard to tell you from here. So I can give you some, of course, of the secrets of the distillery. So basically, the Old Tom recipe is based on 9 botanicals, 9 simple botanicals. we don't say all the botanicals that compose the recipe, but for example, some really enhance the sweet taste, like cinnamon. Cinnamon, we use a really high quality cinnamon. So the sweet taste that it has is more spicy sweet taste. Then we combine, for example, with the mace. Mace, I don't know if you know what is it, but basically is let's say the skin that cover the nutmeg.
Right.
So the skin that cover the nutmeg has a really power spicy taste. So combine a huge amount of juniper, and then we have the coriander seed, the iris root, and now we have already 5 botanicals in 9. And then a sweet and fresh taste from the orange peel. These combine with other 2-3 botanicals more, make a perfect balance, and this gives you the illusion of tasting something sweet without having nothing happen in terms of sugar.
Very cool. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Maybe I could add also that it's very important in the autumn also the resting, so the aging process, because you probably saw it from the bottle, the color is not transparent. It has like a very tiny, nice color of pale gold and pink shades that comes from around 2 months of resting in French oak barrels where we had the Sangiovese wine for 5 years. So this mold rest in a wine barrel allows us to give a rounder sensation, so much volume in the mouth, that helps to enhance the sweet taste. And at the same time, it was very also nice to use a small resting in the barrels, because if we think about the autumn, the age that when it was popular, of course at that age, we didn't have the steel tank. So all the autumn, all the gin rested a bit in the barrel for the transportation or in the gin ballast for the consumption. So it was also a romantic way to follow the same procedures of that age. We have been talking now about the vodka and the 2 gin, but since we are a wine distillery, we wanted to do also a product that basically is a bridge between the 2 productions. So, of course, the vermouth. I don't know if you know it, but the history of the vermouth in Tuscany is very, very old. Everybody thinks, and from a certain point it's correct to say, that the vermouth was born in Piedmont, so in the north Italy. But there are some very nice and interesting books. For example, the Pharmacopoeia Taurinensis or the Enologia Toscana, dated 15th century, that say that we have a production of vermouth in the 15th century and even before in Tuscany. And of course, the Tuscan vermouth is in certain point different from the Piedmont style. Of course, because we use also different grapes. And we are one of the few Tuscan producers that are really producing Tuscan vermouth. When I say really Tuscan producer, I mean a vermouth that is produced starting from wine from the region. In this case, for example, is 100% Sangiovese, infused with the botanicals of the area, Tuscan traditional botanicals, and without any hint of caramel. All our products follow really strict rules of production that doesn't permit us to use any way of correcting the product. So for example, we don't have caramel, we don't have any corrector of acidity, we don't have anything to the product. And for the vermouth it's very important because the law allows you to start from the white wine at the caramel and call this product red vermouth, which to me is very insane, it doesn't make sense. So we decided to make really the opposite, 100% Sangiovese, red wine, to produce a red vermouth. And the other nice thing is that vermouth, the word vermouth, It seems that it comes from the German language and should mean absinthe, the herb. The herbs that give a slightly bitter taste to the vermouth. But nowadays, the majority of vermouth that you taste doesn't taste like absinthe. You don't feel the bitterness of the absinthe, which is very important because it's a medicinal herb, and it's very important to balance the product because we have the sugar that needs to be balanced with the bitternesses in the head. So we try to make it very, very pure expression of the vermouth and a pure expression of our terroir. Before, I said that we have really strict rules that guides us in the production. We wanted to make it very clear for everyone that drinks a product of my distillery on how we produce it. We wanted to be very transparent because since I was a lawyer, I know that the laws can be very tricky sometimes. And so you can always find the gray zone, and you can add something or other, etc., etc. So when I read the first time the laws of production that follows almost everybody, I said, okay, I don't want to play this game. We make it very clear, straight. So we wrote down a contract. We wrote down a contract that we call the Grape to Glass Manifesto, that I signed, my brother signed, and my father signed. And in 8 simple rules, we tell all the story of wine distillery, what happens from the beginning till the end. And basically the goal is to have the 100% of our production made by us, and that should be 100% terroir driven. So all the bottles have on the back written down the Grape to Glass Manifesto, the 8 simple rules and the premise that follow all our products. And we're very proud to do that because we wanted to be very honest with everyone that drinks our product and can understand our production philosophy.
Great. Shall we make a cocktail or two?
Yeah. Now we're ready. We want to move to the bar and see what happens when we mix some of these nice products.
That would be fun.
Okay, follow me. We move to the bar and we will be in the company of my brother Niccolò. And in the meantime, when you maybe keep on drinking our gin tonic or other products, if you have any question, feel free to ask also for the production. So let me introduce you again, my brother Niccolò, and I leave you in his good hands to teach you a bit of how to mix these beautiful products.
Here we are, guys. Welcome back.
And Niccolò, before you get started, I'm going to just ask a question on behalf of Paul. He loves a wet martini, and he uses Belvedere vodka and Antica Torino vermouth. How would yours compare if he used yours?
Wait, I didn't get the perfect connection and so could you please repeat?
So he does a wet vodka martini with Belvedere and Antica Torino.
Yes.
You know, how would your vodka and vermouth compare if you were to make a wet martini with it?
Easily. Let's start to speak about the vodka. It will become easily because our vodka has this strong, beautiful personality, but also it's so gentle, has alcohol, has all our spirits. It's a poor spirits. There is no botanicals, but even if there is no botanicals, you feel this beautiful roundness and this little touch of warmth coming from the alcohol, but it's never too aggressive. And it has a little also touch of flavor and beautiful smell that remind you some flower expression of some anticipated harvest of fermentation with anticipated harvest of wine. And it's a very territory vodka, and also because of that, bringing inside itself also a nice touch of minerality that of course help you to balance the taste also when you are mixing and doing the beautiful martini. And also our vermouth is still coming from the same land, and it's still coming from basically the same piece of vineyard, and is bringing itself the same minerality, but also add a little touch of fruitness that is bringing the flower sensation you have in the vodka with more mature expression coming through it. So it's really easy to be balanced.
Great. Thank you.
Pleasure. If there is any other question, or we can
I think you should make us a cocktail.
Great, great. So let's start with something really easy that is getting more fashion here around Italy and all over this the spritz. One of the most drinked cocktail here in Italy, especially for tourists coming outside of Italy. So instead of have a regular recipe of spritz that you probably already know and you can find everywhere, we decide to bring here on the table a Tuscany expression of spritz, a Chioccioli expression, a Chianti Classico expression of spritz. So we'll be a little bit simplify a recipe because it will be based on our vermouth, and then we'll bring a little bit of bubble thanks to our spumante. It's a Sangiovese long Charmat method that stays 3 months on his own yeast, and so it's fresh, fruity, beautiful acidity, but also the touch of creamy. It's a brut, so not too sugar, not too sweet. Helps to add and combine the beautiful deepness in maturation and all the herbal expression of the vermouth, with also this beautiful minerality and crispiness coming from the bubbles. So easy to prepare. We take our jigger, and then it's basically up to your taste. But for how I like to drink it, I would put 30 milliliter, 35, maximum 40 milliliters of vermouth straight here in the glasses. Before I was forgetting, never forget to chill the glass. For any kind of cocktail you're doing before, be sure that your glass has the right temperature. So you can rest the glass a little bit of ice on it, and that's help you to bring the glass to the right temperature. So as easy was the first step, it's more easy is the second. You just be careful and open it, and then you add some crispy bubble in your cocktail. We'll let a little bit the bubble works with the vermouth. We can help ourselves with the bar spoon and gently mix it. And we add a little bit more.
And is that a dry sparkling that you're using?
Sorry, could you repeat? I didn't forget.
Is that a dry sparkling that you're using?
It's a brut. It's a brut.
Okay,
yeah.
Merci.
I like to finish this cocktail with a little bit of oil of the skin of orange that help also to let the bubble rest, as you can see, and then a little touch all around where you drink and when you're going to smell your glasses. So that's the Tuscan spritz. Cheers.
My mouth is watering.
If you don't mind, guys, I take it. I can offer. He's going to prepare another one. I really didn't that.
With this, I always do like that, and so I'm prepared drinking. He's drinking.
Yeah.
So the next one would be still easy. Let's also have the vermouth at this time. We bring on the table a typical cocktail that all of us know. It's Negroni, and we twist a little bit with the Negroni, making a Negroni a little bit more fresh, a little bit more easy to drink as a start of your evening, even if you are not biting anything, or also have a little bit more summer expression of this Negroni. So we'll need a steel glass. We put first gin, long and dry gin, 30 milliliters. Other 30 milliliters of our vermouth. Here we are. Then just one tiny bar spoon of handmade sugar syrup, and then we stir a little bit. Then we empty the glass from a little bit of water coming from the ice. Easy. We take off the bar spoon, strain it, and we are going to put this first part of Negroni. Yes, I'm using an highball. That's the first difference between and the regular Negroni. It's made in highball, and then you will see why. Because we skip use the bitter, and we use the little touch of bitterness coming from the CO2 gas of this spumante, and we make our bubble Negroni. Then you're going to feel as you prefer. It's based on your taste. If you prefer a little bit more bubble or less bubble, you feel your right balance in the glass. But the important things have the same quantity of gin and same quantity of vermouth. Also with this, I like to put as garnish a little skin of orange here. Cheers.
Cheers.
Keep going with the highball cocktail. I would suggest to do something really easy to do that can. Yeah.
That's right. He's waiting for you. He'll keep that for you for later.
Yeah.
Not sure.
So another really common drink that we used to have, it's a gin tonic, right? So let's try to do something a little bit different than gin tonic. Has the same kind of drinkability, but with a little bit more of body. So will be our old corn and ginger ale. I will put over here. It's one brand, but it's really helped your taste. Speaking about ginger ale, and the name of this cocktail is Bright and Sunny, and it's made as we made gin tonic. So we take. Let me wash this. Uh, 50 milliliters of gin, Old Tom in this case. Here we are. And then we open up our ginger ale and we gently fill the glass. Now, I think we need a little more ice. So and we keep going. Perfect. With our bar spoon, we make a gentle little turn to help the gas of the ginger ale be mixed with all the spirits we use. Also, in this case, I like a little spew of orange peel skin. Here we are. Bright and sunny. Cheers.
Very simple. That's great.
Very simple. It's for what we saw. It's really enjoyable, special for the feminine palate. That sometimes they doesn't know what drink. They don't like too much gin tonic, but they like also some bubble in the mouth. That is perfect. Also for anyone else that like the gin tonic, but I also would like to have a little more roundness in the center of the taste, and a little bit touch of more fruity.
Lovely, lovely.
In the end, we could make some, again, another stiller.
Don't give it to him.
No, but it's impossible. I need to, it's a deal. He let me play with the spirits he made, but he has to drink it. That's the deal. So we will do now a little bit twist with the bramble. Okay, bramble with the Tuscan bramble. So it is named grape bramble. The difference you would see in the recipe is that we will use our vermouth to make the beautiful float in the end of the preparation. So we need a shaker. It's already full of ice. I was prepared about that. And so we take off this. We make in the other part of the shaker 40 milliliters of gin, London dry gin. Here we are, 40 milliliters. Then we need around 25 milliliters of fresh lemon juice.
Oh, I need that device for my bar.
Mexican elbow.
Yeah.
It's really useful. So 25 milliliters fresh lemon juice, and then again a little touch of sugar syrup. Here we are. Never more than 10 milliliters. We don't need to use too much sugar when you work with this kind of spirits, especially with premium spirits, because you don't need to have the sugar as helping the tasting to cover the too aggressive sensations coming from the alcohol. The two warmest sensation coming from the alcohol. So just a little touch. That just help us to balance the acidity of the lemon juice. So, we shake a little bit. Our strainer. Now we take vermouth, bar spoon, and gently, with no rush, we'll let the vermouth flow. A little bit. Here we are.
You've done that before.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
If you like, we could have as garnish a spew also a little bit of lemon peel that help you to bring a little bit more lemon sensation that we already use as an ingredient of fresh lemon. And we'll let this sit over here. Here we are. Cheers.
Cheers.
That will be mine, not for mine. I will put here again.
And we have a question from Jeff, and actually I had the same question. When you're making the vodka from wine rather than grain spirits, how does that affect the taste? Is there a way you can describe that to us without us actually trying it, how that affects it?
Absolutely. The first big difference is in the texture, especially in the middle of the taste, and also what the alcohol brings as a flavor. Here we are speaking about fruitiness, a little bit touch of fruitiness, and then we have a little bit more glycerin aroma that is coming straight from the wine and then from the grapes. That's the big difference. It's for sure extremely smooth and gentle spirits itself. As my brother told you, we don't add anything. We don't need to add anything. It's no cold filtered, so it's pure expression of our alcohol, and how this alcohol is obtained thanks to our pot still and my brother hand.
Mm-hmm. Great. That was very, very good. And I think we can impose on Anais to get those cocktail recipes from you and send it out to the people that were on the call.
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, that's great.
If you want to see another one, we can have a last one if you have time.
Yes, I think we've got a few minutes. That would be great.
Okay,
Thank you.
It'll be easy.
Just watch. Enrico might be here for that third one.
I didn't get it, sorry.
Yeah, I think Enrico's coming to get that third one you've made, though.
Yeah.
There it comes. Yes.
That's fine. Okay. So it will be a Tuscan 75. It's a twist on the French 75. What will be the big difference? It would be the sparkling wine we're using to fill and to have the topping on the cocktail. It's really nice. It has a Christmas cocktail. As a welcome for your friends and your families, and also go extremely well for the first part of the meal, because the balance of the product itself. So we need the shaker again. We need the shaker. We fill the ice. So, autumn, again, we put 25, 30, it's up to you. I like a little bit more power, so I like to use 30, but probably 25 has a little bit more balance. It's more for all that kind of power. So 25 milliliters of autumn. Then again, we use the fresh lemon juice. 15, 20 is depend on how much spirits you put before. Here we are. And again, a little touch of sugar syrup. Let's say 10 milliliters. Here we are. It will be just enough, and the cocktail is almost ready. Let me empty my glass. The chill before we empty the water. We take off all the ice. Now I have a nice and chilled glass. Here we are. olorosa spumante. We pour gently until we let the bubbles come. Here we are. We use a little bit of oil from the skin of the lemon. And here we are. Cheers.
Cheers.
Tuscan 75.
All right, wonderful. Though I had a question about the comparison of making the vodka from wine, and how would that compare to Peruvian Pisco? Are you familiar with Pisco?
Yeah.
Yes. Would it be similar in that way?
Yeah, for sure. But I will let the master distiller speak about that.
Right. Okay.
It's here for that. So here we are.
I'm not that comfortable in this area, but I prefer the other part of the bar. But in terms of distillation, there was a big difference with Pisco, vodka from wine, or if we want to talk about aquavite, so a white brandy, etc. It's basically the technique of distillation that make a difference between the three products. And of course, these affects also the taste sensation. So when we talk about Pisco, basically it's a pot still distillation, single distillation. When we talk about white cognac, so white brandy, not aged brandy or cognac, so aquavite, we usually have a double discontinued distillation, so a double pot distillation. When we talk about vodka, the first distillation needs to be a column distillation, because you need to reach 96 degree. I think in Canada and the US, the rules are slightly different. It's 95% in alcohol, ABV. So these change, of course, the aromatic profile. So a vodka that comes from wine has a subtle sensation of wine, sort of grape, more the grape than wine in terms of sensation. So the texture is very similar to the Pisco or the aquavite compared to classic vodka from grains, because the grape and the wine has a naturally bigger amount of glycerin, so the texture is completely different. And of course, all the vodka, if they are distilled, really distilled, brings inside the product the characteristic of the raw ingredients used. So a grain, so a rye vodka, for example, is different from a corn vodka, which is different from a molasses vodka and a wine vodka. There's always a subtle sensation. But basically, we don't realize this big difference because the majority, so the most of the vodka are not distilled. Maybe you don't know, I was talking about before the gray zone. The majority of the vodka that we buy are neutral alcohol. They are bought by big distilleries. Then they clean it because the taste is not that very nice. They then add something because it's too neutral otherwise. Then they chill filter it and it comes back very clear and transparent, like water. And it doesn't taste almost like nothing. And the good part is that they tell you that the vodka is good when it's neutral. Doesn't need to have taste because it's symptoms of quality. And this neutrality comes to a huge number of distillation process. But that's basically, it's not true. So I think the big difference from quality vodka and all the other vodkas, that the vodka doesn't burns when you drink it. It's warm, but it doesn't heat you too much. And at the same time, you need to find subtle aromas of the raw ingredients you used. So this is what I can tell.
Thank you, Enrico. And we've got another question for the bartender about how the glassware changes the taste of the cocktails. For instance, the one you've got in your hand, you want that in an open bowl? The cocktail, that glass that you had in your hand with that cocktail, is the open bowl, does that make a difference in how that cocktail will taste?
Yeah, for sure. Every cocktail has its own glass to be made with. The ones where you can feel more this difference when, for example, you use adding some bubbles, and French 75 or Tuscan 75 can be done in a flute, a typical classical flute. For our product, I like to have this a little more open because it helps to smell and taste all the beautiful sweetness and all the beautiful aroma that is coming from both the spirits itself and our wine. So yes, the glass has an important role also during the tasting.
Well, thank you for that question, Kim Tien, and thank you for the answer, Nico.
Pleasure.
And thank you on Enrico and Niccolò for joining us and taking the time. We really appreciate that. And thank you, Anais, for arranging all of this and running the show. Thank you to all of the Opinion members for joining us. That was terrific. I thought this was really fun, and looking forward to getting these recipes out to the members so that when your spirits arrive in Canada, we can make the cocktails that you've just shown us. So looking forward to that. Thank you again, gentlemen, and have a good evening. Good night to all. Good evening.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
Good night. Grazie. A presto.
Bye.
Yeah, grazie.
Sì.